people, one planet, one world. One planet, one world. Well, it's one people, we're one planet, one people, one planet, one world. One planet, one world.
Morning, everyone. Welcome to your neighborhood Unitarian Universalist congregation. My name is Suzanne Mazars. I'm the music director, and I have the life of the community to share with you. This afternoon from 3 to 5, Jane Lewis and I will be co-facilitating a circle music workshop in the style of Bobby McFerrin. All are welcome, no matter what your musical background or experience is. We make up music together on the spot. It's creative time spent listening, being in the moment with each other, sharing your voice, grooving and laughing. You can talk to me after service if you'd like to hear more. Walk in the footsteps of Susan Crofts on Sunday, November 10th. There will be an event. We'll meet here, go over to Withrow Park to collect trash, as she would have done, meet at the fire pit, learn some teachings about water, the Nibby song, and then come back here, picking up more trash, cleaning up the space, and enjoying some veggie chili and date squares in communities and sharing stories and memories about Susan. All are welcome to join. This Friday, October 25th, the neighborhood is screening Where Olive Trees Weep. No one is free until we are all free. Doors will open at 7, the screening's at 7:30, followed by small group discussion. You can talk to me after service for more info about that. That's in this room in Rafos Hall, yes. We're having a community potluck 2 Sundays from now after service to join in food and fellowship and meet Reverend Sally, who will be here in person that morning. If you'd like more info, you can speak to Allison or contact her. The DMC Out of the Cold program needs your help. We need some bakers to help make desserts for our Friday night Out of the Cold guests. And we're also looking for volunteers to help serve breakfast on Saturday mornings once a month. Each of the congregations in the DMC, which includes the Danforth Jewish Circle, East End United, and ourselves, are being asked to take on 1 week a month to handle and help out with the Out of the Cold program. If that's something you can help with, please talk to Laura. I said Nancy and I'm looking at Laura. To help out with Out of the Cold food and service prep. Next Sunday, we are celebrating Samhain, and you are invited to wear a costume or a mask to our annual service. But if you don't have a costume or mask, don't worry. Part of the service will be making masks during the service. In our galleries right now, we have 2 artists featured, Chris Emanuel on the west side with Just Love and Georgina Lee Walker on the east side with Portals. The work is available to be viewed after service or actually any time in the week that you want to drop in. It's up till November 17th. And we have an announcement from the fundraising committee.
All right, are we on? We're on. So I'm going to read this because I want to keep this short and concise.
Thank you.
So, and a good morning to everybody here.
Morning, Pat.
Good morning. So I'd like to thank those of you who are able to glean through items they have and donate to the silent auction, all those interesting things. And also those of you who have canvassed businesses that you frequent and bringing us contributions that way. Our next request is going to be for taking this flyer and the information about our link to the auction to those you know, your friends, and spreading the word about it and getting people interested in going in and just at least look at what we have to offer. So that'd be a very good thing too. So, anything more? There's still time to bring items forward if you have them. All you need to do, and our email addresses are here, John or myself pretty well. That'd be the quickest way to get them in. So, yeah, we're still interested in receiving things. So, an email, that's all you need to do. Make the picture of it, and we can go from there. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pat. On Wednesday evenings for the month of October, Anna and Rev Sally will be holding space on Zoom for anyone who would like to briefly check in, name intentions, memories, or hopes, or spend time in meditation or quiet prayer. That's every Wednesday for October at 7 at our usual Zoom space. There will be a celebration of life for Doug Crozier here in Rafos Hall on Saturday, November 2nd. Doors open at 7. The service begins at 7:30 and will be live streamed to Zoom. It will be officiated by our minister, Reverend Sally Fritchie, with music offered by our spirit choir. This Saturday, very exciting time at Neighborhood, we begin a new set of Saturday night movement services. And I'd actually like to take the time to read the description. So dealing with loss is a muscle that we can exercise, and when we strengthen this muscle, we have more access to the full range of emotions that help us feel enlivened. During this time of year when the leaves fall and the veil between life and loss is felt to be more permeable, let's gather and practice being with loss through sound, movement, words, community, and ritual. You can move with what emerges for you in the DJ'd ecstatic dance that follows. We'll be trying this out as a new initiative here. There are 4 of these services planned for the year, and hope you will come and check them out. Speaking of the movement service, we need some volunteers this Saturday to help with greeting and to help with snacks and refreshments. If you can help, please speak to Bruce Line or send an email to Bruce, and that email will be in the Monday mailing. If you do not receive our Monday mailing, you can contact our office administrator, Hala, at office@nuuc.ca to get on our mailing list. Today after service, there will be a transition town hall. Join members of our Ministerial Search and Transition Committee today at 12:30. They will give a short presentation about our 2-year ministerial search process, about what to expect over the 2-year term of our new contract to call minister, Reverend Sally Fritchie. And we'll have pizza, so that can keep you fed so you're able to stay for the meeting, for the town hall. Our services are created by our staff and volunteers. Listed here is our minister, Reverend Sally Fritchie, Suzanne Mazars, myself, our music director, Julia Thompson, our lifespan learning director. Today we have Kurt Thompson as our service weaver and Carlos Garcia at our AV desk. We thank all our volunteers, greeters, counters, LL volunteers, coffee team, all of who are named in the cappuccino room. And finally, as I mentioned, next week we'll be in the second week of Pluralism with the message around Samhain, a masquerade. Our speaker will be our own Kendrew Pape. Music will be a community drum circle. You are welcome to bring your noisemakers to service. We also have plenty of drums here if you'd like to borrow one. Service weaver will be Deb Bertazon, and Time for All Ages with Julia Thompson.
There was one announcement Tony was just mentioning, that Sally Fritchie has a Zoom drop-in. She's offered 3 different times. One was yesterday, and I dropped in for that. This afternoon from 2 to 3, I believe, and it's on our regular Zoom channel. And the next date, I don't have in my head. Tuesday. I was close. And is that an evening one, or is that during the day? Sorry. We just want to make sure that people know there are opportunities to get to know her a little bit. 6 to 7 p.m. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Kurt Thompson, and I'm honored to be your service weaver this morning here at Neighborhood Unitarian Universalist Congregation. For everyone here in the sanctuary and those who are spiritually with us on Zoom. I also offer a special thank you to Rev Stephan Atkinson, who will be offering our message of inspiration this morning. More on that later. We now enter sacred space. And you can help, if you would, with your electronics. Now, if you have electronics that you need to participate in the service, please use them, but please make sure that they are not in any way distracting to other congregants if you can. But for any other electronic devices, especially mobile phones, please keep them off. Yep, I think I have turned this off. Yep, it's off. So there is no ringing to service, or especially during meditation time when that really can be jarring. I'm sure you know what that feels like. So now, let us take a moment of breath, just to release the outside world. And now breathe in new enlightenment. I invite you now to read with me the words which will be projected on the screen. If you're unable to see or read our invocation, please relax and just let the words flow over you, and the spirit of them will enter you. Let us cast a circle of a sacred space here. Let us cast a circle of a cherished space here. A space of safety, a place of forgiveness, a place of love. If we want the world to change, we must craft in our space the symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith is a lit chalice. I now ask Denise Lambert to please come up and light our chalice. And please join with us in singing our chalice lighting song, When the Chalice is Lit. Now, for our prelude, I turn it over to our spirit band and Mr. Sean Thomas, whose song is our prelude this morning. Sean?
Thank you, Kurt. Yeah, so this is a song that I wrote in response to today's message of inspiration, and it kind of borrows some words from there. And I, was thinking a lot of songs about finding your light and so forth. And sometimes it's hard to see, but it's there. Out upon the hillside, turned my collar to the wind, and against the herd that's inside, wondering how I can begin. The clouds they lift as if in answer, reveal a sky in midnight blue. Now there's a light, a silver dancer. I wonder if it can be true. Well, I know we all are sacred beings, each trying to love in our way, searching the sky for meaning, to find the stars in the day. Do you cling to visions untrue? Expect some night to set you free? Or could an answer lie within you? The stars are there, though you can't see. Well, I know we all are sacred beings, each trying to love in our way, searching the sky for meaning, to find the stars in the day. Finding the stars in the day.
Finding the stars in the day.
Finding the stars in the day.
Finding the stars in the day.
Finding the stars in the day.
Finding the stars.
Finding the stars in the day. searching the sky for meaning, to find the stars in the day.
Wow. Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Spirit Band, for that very, very dreamy and welcoming prelude. I stand on the treaty lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit and the traditional lands of the Wendat, the Anishinaabeg Nation, and the Haudenosaunee Confederacy, who've been joined by the Métis and the Inuit and other indigenous people of our country. I recognize that we have broken treaties that we have promised to our First Peoples, and I pledge to do my best to find ways to honor those treaties. I will also honor the earth on which that supports me. I will promise to honor the air that gives me life. And I promise to honor the water that nourishes me. Now, let us continue in sacred space. Unitarian Universalists come from many beliefs and learn from many traditions. If you are here for the first or second time, a very special welcome. During our coffee time in our cappuccino room, where you can also have tea, you may take a red mug, and that is a sign that tells us that you wish to be approached, so we can learn more about you as you learn about us. We also have a wiggle room off to the side, a quiet space with couches and toys, where sound of the service is fed in so you can hear what's going on. And if you do have hearing issues, we also have listening devices, which Carlos will provide to you at our sound desk. Our mission here at Neighborhood is to empower spiritual growth and shared action for the care of our world. We've moved from love in our first 6 weeks, and now we're moving on to 6 weeks of pluralism. Again, now I welcome our special minister guest, Rev Stephan Atkinson, who will be discussing loving pluralism. Stephan Atkinson, for many years, worked in psychiatry, focusing on the 2+ LGBTQA community. And then in 2002, he discovered Unitarian Universalism, then went into ministry. He is now since retired. As I said, we are moving into pluralism. The UUA, the Unitarian Universalists of America, has moved away from the 8 principles and moved into the 6 values. Though we here in Canada are maintaining the 8 principles, by the way. But Article 2 states that the 8 principles, and we, for the first 6 weeks of our congregational year, we were discussing love, and now we are moving on to pluralism, where Article 2 states, we are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. we covenant to learn from one another in our ongoing search for truth and meaning. And we embrace each other's commonalities and differences with love, respect, and thank you, love, respect, and curiosity. And as you may see, if it's up there on the screen yet, sorry, I might switching. We have a flower representing all the 6 values in shades of orange, taupe, tan, and brown. And they're in sort of like shapes of crumpled up paper bags in sort of like silhouettes of faces. Oh, sorry, did I go the wrong order? Oh, so are we on the slide with the picture?
We're on the slide with the flower of love at the center and the 6.
Yes, that's what I'm. So yes, and the slide, like I said, as different colors: taupe, orange, tan, and brown, blending into each other with sort of just the profiles of faces in just kind of looking at like crumpled up bags of paper. The flower?
The right one is up there now, Chris.
Okay. And for a reading today, let us reflect on Rumi's dictum. It is not your task to seek for love, merely to seek out and find the barriers that you've built up within yourself against it. And now let us seek out and find our neighbors so we can greet them. Say hello, and maybe find a new face. Say hello to that new face or a face you haven't seen in a long time. And then when you're finished that, reach out up and say hello to the camera, to those on Zoom. And those on Zoom, please unmute yourselves and greet yourselves. There'll be a chime to sound to end. Please return your seats. But if you're able, please stay standing for our congregational song. Suzanne?
Thanks, Kurt. I really don't have much of an introduction for the song. I imagine many of you have heard it before. Maybe not everyone, I don't know. And I invite you to sing along with us. Has really catchy too.
Sometimes I'm right and I can be wrong. My own beliefs are in my song. The butcher, the banker, the drummer, and then makes no difference what group I'm in. I am everyday people. Yeah, yeah.
There is a blue one who can't accept the green one, living with a fat one, trying to be a skinny one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Ooh, sha-sha, we've got to live together. I am no better, and neither are you. We're all the same, whatever we do. You love me, you hate me, you live me, then you can't figure what I'm in. I am everyday people, yeah, yeah.
There is a long hair that doesn't like the short hair, for being such a rich one that will not help the poor one. Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo.
Ooh, sha-sha, we've got to live together.
There is a black one that won't accept the yellow one, that won't accept the red one, that won't accept the white one.
Different strokes for different folks, and so on and so on. And Scooby-Dooby-Doo. Ooh, sha-sha, I'm everyday people. Sha-sha.
Now for those, thank you band, and thank you everyone for singing. And now those who are young and young at heart, please follow Julia and our lantern to our time for all ages.
All right, I would love to invite the children. Oop. Yeah, I'm turned on. You can hear me now, right? Yes, we have a rug here. If you want to join us, whoever. Yeah. Aww. Do you want to come too? We're going to be talking about coyotes. Like, who can resist a coyote? Yes. Maybe you can do the sound effects. So, have you ever seen a coyote before?
Yes.
Who has seen a coyote? What does a coyote look like? Can you describe it? Like a dog, right? What does it sound like? Perfect. So now I feel like you're really into the spirit of this story, so I'm ready to begin. So this is a coyote trickster tale from the people of the Coyote people who live in California. And over the many, many years, it's been adapted in many, many ways through storytelling and stories. I will begin. Long, long ago, when the world was new, the only people or beings who had fire were called the fire beings, and they lived on top of a great big tall mountain, and they guarded their fire to themselves because it made them feel very powerful that they had the fire and nobody else didn't. Now, one day, as Coyote was passing by a village, he heard these songs of mourning from the people who had lost people during the winter, from the cold. They had died from the cold because they didn't have any fire. And Coyote's heart went out to them, and he wanted to do something. So he went up to the very, very top of the mountain, and he asked the fire beings to please, can you share your fire with the people? But the fire beings said, no way. So Coyote said, okay, have it your way. But Coyote was, as I said, a trickster, and he had a plan. And he was very good at hiding himself. So he hid himself away to watch how these fire beings guarded their fire. And he noticed something that made the fur on the back of his neck stand on end in fear, because their eyes were glinting like bloodstones, and they had long fire claws that were like the talons of vultures. But he was determined. He also noticed, and this kind of touched him, the care that these fire beings took for the fire, how they fed it with dry things from the land, like pine cones and dry sticks of wood, and how they quickly stomped on the runaway flames. And he also noticed that one being guarded the fire while two others slept, and that they snored very loudly. And a very tricky plan began to hatch in Coyote's mind. So he ran down the mountain and he gathered his friends together, and he told them of his plan. And he explained how the people were so cold and so frightened every time winter came along, and how the fire beings kept the fire to themselves. And everyone agreed that the people should absolutely have fire. So Coyote said, this is going to be relay style. Everybody is going to be at certain parts of the mountain, and we'll pass the fire stick to each other. But I need some super fast runners. I'm a fast runner, said Fox. Oh, us too, said Squirrel and Skunk. And Frog said, Ribbit, Ribbit, I want to help. Frog, said Skunk, you can't run. We need fast runners. You can only hop. I want to help, said Tree. Tree, said Fox, we need fast runners. You can't even walk. So, then Bear and Coyote snuck up the mountain because Bear was going to be the distraction, while the other animals took their positions, and the people gathered round the mountain below because they were very curious. People are very curious, and we want to know what's happening. So everybody watched and waited. And as soon as Bear and Coyote heard the fire beings snoring, Bear lumbered up, and he sort of stomped around, prowled around, and while the fire being that was on guard was distracted, Coyote lunged for a fire stick, grabbed it in his mouth, and ran off. The only problem was, in the commotion, the fire being woke up, and they ran after him, and one of them grabbed at Coyote's tail. And that is why, from that day to this, some coyote tail tips are white. And Coyote threw the fire stick to the next animal, which was Squirrel. And Squirrel grabbed the fire stick, but the fire beings were very, very close, getting closer, and one of them was about to grab Squirrel's tail, but Squirrel quickly curled its tail as close as possible to its back to avoid its tail being grabbed. And that is why, from that day to this, squirrels often have curled tails. So Squirrel threw the fire stick to the one who was next in line, which was Skunk. And Skunk grabbed the fire stick, and then but Skunk froze, and Skunk was trembling with fear. And it looked as though Skunk wasn't going to make it. And one of the fire beings reached out and clawed Skunk's back. And that is why, from that day to this, skunks have white stripes along their backs. And so Skunk didn't know what to do, but he heard Frog's friendly croak saying, "Ribbit, Ribbit, pass it to me, Skunk." And Skunk threw the fire stick, and it landed on Frog's back. And Frog was able to hop with it a little bit on its back, but one of the fire beings reached out and grabbed Frog's tail, and the tail came off in the fire being's hand. And that is why, from that day to this, frogs have no tails, and they often have these splotches on their backs where the sparks graze them. And then frog gave a mighty hop and landed on tree. And he said, "Quick, quick, tree, hide fire." And tree did. The fire beings ran to tree and stood there in front of tree. "Tree, give us our fire." Tree said, "Nope." The fire being said a little louder, "Maybe you can help me." "Tree, give us our fire." Tree just stood there in its stately way and shook its branches. "No." The fire beings yelled out as loudly as they could, "Tree, give us our fire." The tree had obviously swallowed fire, and the fire beings were defeated. And they went back up to their mountain, and they just left the people alone. And that is how people got fire, from wood, right? We get fire from wood. Now, I'm just trying to imagine, like, all the friends helped out, and even like with their differences, and their differences made them stronger. I don't think it would have ended well for us people if it hadn't been for frog and tree. Thank you. And we will let our lantern lead the way. Do you want to come? We're going to decorate some pumpkins.
Now it is my esteemed pleasure to welcome up our guest speaker, Rev Stephan Atkinson.
Thank you, Kurt. My goodness, what a creative congregation you have here. And zoology lessons as well. I should come here more often. Well, I'm here every 2 months this year, so I'll be seeing you again in December. I have a fabulous reading this morning by Reverend Marcus Liefert, someone who's a friend of mine, but I don't know him myself. And so this is in his words. I'm going to give you the title at the end, because it's sort of like the punchline. The Unitarian Universalist congregation, where I served as an intern, made a mosaic tree of life the summer before I arrived. Congregants of all ages came together to craft the tree's leaves using bits and pieces, there it is right there, bits and pieces of broken ceramics, jewelry, glass, stone. There are many precious personal items in the tree, including fragments of the Berlin Wall, a father's watch face, pieces of great-grandmother's china, and a key to the front door of a beloved home. Like the members of the community that brought them together, each part is imbued with memories and meaning, and each fragment holds a piece of truth. Unitarian Universalists are mosaic makers. We are people who bring together the broken pieces of our histories and the shining pieces of our seeking, and piece by piece, create a mosaic religion. Our tree of life is found in the stories of our living tradition. The bead from a transformational moment of worship at a youth conference. The bit of paper stamped with the blazing emblem of the Unitarian Service Committee that saved lives during World War II. The button or patch on a backpack that proudly proclaims the first justice issue that got you fired up. But our mosaic tells another story too, one that is often more difficult to see, one that is essential to the purpose of religious community, and one that lies not in the broken and beautiful bits and pieces, but in the grout. Grout, the chalky, gritty, neutral stuff that is squeezed between the cracks of tiles. In a mosaic, the grout holds the image together, unifying disparate pieces into a whole. The grout of a community takes years to lay and settle. Grout happens in board meetings and committee meetings and endless emails and slow-moving institutions. It is in weekly potlucks, shared by neighbors, a ride to church, and coffee in the social after worship. While the folks who show up for church only on Christmas and Easter will hopefully enjoy the beauty of the mosaic they find, they may never know the power of the grout that holds us all through all seasons of life. We help to make the grout when we learn each other's names and when we reach out across generational divides. We help to make the grout when we show up on Sunday morning without having checked beforehand to see what the sermon title is and whether it might be of interest to you. When a newborn arrives to be blessed by the community, it is the grout that enables us to welcome them. And it is in the grout that we rest when we gather to grieve and memorialize a beloved one who has died. Hold us, O grout. Gather us in through time and space and make all our broken pieces whole in community. In our multiplicity, make us one. From each of our jagged edges, give us the shape of a communal beauty. We'll have a moment of silence at this point, followed by music. Our Unitarian Universalist embrace of pluralism is the reason that I am a UU. But more on that later. That reading from Marcus Liefert before our meditation is the result of grace. Having it here today is the result of grace or serendipity or fortune or chance, however you like to see these things. Because I hear it first just 2 weeks ago in the Sunday morning worship at Hamilton UU, which is my home church. And in amazement, I could see I can steal that. and use it today. Ministers do that all the time. And musicians too, as long as, of course, we give the original source, right? And then in a planning meeting for this service, when Sally was present, I find out that she knows the reading already. And that's how grace works. Just so you're sure to get it, it sends arrows that point from different directions, all in the same direction. So you notice. I love that about grace. And I'm emphasizing the reading because it's really the first part of the message today about pluralism and your congregation. Unitarian Universalism is at its best when Unitarian Universalism at its best is essentially and deeply pluralist. Apart from those very fortunate among us who are born into our communities, most of us have come from previous religious or faith backgrounds, including the absence or active repudiation of religion or faith. Some of us are in full flight from that part of our past, which may have wounded or hurt or abandoned us. Some bring along what worked best for us, but leave the rest behind. And some bring traces of conscious or barely understood yearning for what we think we may have missed and might find here. And besides those influences from our individual pasts, we also bring our own thoughts and conclusions about values and belief and life. Often we bring in our own unanswered or troubling questions. Within our time here, be it brief or lifelong, all of these may strengthen or wither or change. It's pluralism that not only allows but encourages us to honor, respect, and foster our diversities. And to our disparate roots and sundry religious and philosophical positions that we exemplify are added all the individual, small, or brilliant special qualities, hopes, and experiences of life that are given such a powerful image by the UU Church of Berkeley's Tree of Life mosaic, which is physically created by Kim Larson. From that congregation's collective effort, this message and symbol of who they are and how they see themselves and each other, it's easy to conclude that they're a loving congregation. Now, I say easy to conclude, but it's not entirely certain. Not that I have any knowledge from back channels about that congregation, just that even a beautiful visual symbol isn't necessarily a representation of perfect truth. I bet that, like all of our communities, the Berkeley congregation isn't perfect, but this awesome symbol, I believe, shows that they are at least striving to be a loving community, and that warms my heart, and perhaps yours too. This congregation has that yearning too, which shows your wisdom, maturity, and belief in each other, besides whatever other beliefs you have individually or communally. Each of you does your best to be respectful and accepting of others here with whom you may disagree on any number of levels. Given our UU conviction that we all have inherent worth and dignity, we show that in action by our acceptance of each other. Not all UU communities have this. To adapt the symbol for today, some congregations want a mosaic of many colors, but every piece has to be made of glass. May be different color, maybe different design, but it has to be glass. Not broken china or house keys or lockets, just glass. And this means that some people bring their piece of glass, but cherish in their heart that old memory-laden porcelain, the key to a rarely exposed heart. And there can be much joy and acceptance in such a community, at least for many. But often also there's a hidden layer of loss, shame, or fear. And this is something for every community to be watchful of. Are we keeping our minds open enough? Does our welcome have clauses in it? So now about the importance of pluralism to me. During my late teens and early adult years within the Baha'i faith, I experience a fully loving, diverse community. And I hear the phrase unity and diversity, in fact, one people, one planet. I hear those phrases first back then. Now, the Unitarians may have been saying that back then too, but I heard that through the Baha'i faith. And that, granted, this is 50 years ago. And so the displays of mutual joy and affection that between believers may have changed or settled down or matured. And I was at that age where joy, peace, and understanding come actually fairly easily. But when I leave that religion, I don't imagine being able to find such love again. And it has been rare. Yet I don't look back on those years with Pollyanna lenses. After all, I did leave that faith. The welcoming of multiplicity, a very high value of believers, is obedience, both to the spirit and letter of clearly written religious laws. Certain kinds of difference aren't welcome. Baha'is, for instance, encourage an independent investigation of spiritual truth. But if your investigation takes you someplace outside the faith's boundaries of truth, you can be in a bit of trouble. And Baha'is claim to see a harmony between science and religion and reason. But if science comes up with data that, say, suggests sexual orientation can be present from birth and or a result of biological factors, that science doesn't affect Baha'i values. Now, the faith is a beautiful religion, absolutely beautiful. And it's a healing and uplifting force in my life back then, and I believe in the world. And back then, in my immaturity and unreadiness to be who I am, I used some of those contradictions to batter myself. I traumatized myself with the traumatizing possibilities that even other people I knew didn't pay attention to. I couldn't not pay attention. And then, and I'm in agony, but then I have an epiphany that God does love me as I am, even if the faith officially can't quite do that. And when I leave, I know that if I ever need a spiritual community again, I'm going to go to the Unitarians. Because I believe there that whatever beliefs I come up with, whatever morals and values I grasp to my heart, probably can be welcomed there, here. Took me 20 years, but in any case, it did happen. But I wasn't sure about the love. Now, it's interesting. When I first was going to preach, it was 2 weeks ago, and I was going to preach about love, and I was all ready to preach about love. And then it was like, oh, it's pluralism now. And so love and pluralism is what we've got. And I have not been paying attention to Article 2, so I didn't know that love was in the middle of all those beautiful values. So what I'm going to say next is like something I only believed up until today. Because I've often noticed how rarely in the past, you speak about love. In fact, the definition of pluralism was one of the first official places that I've come across where love is explicitly stated. And so I've wondered, is it so uncommon because the word doesn't appear in the 8 principles? Maybe we think love is contained in or represented by more intellectual words like dignity, acceptance, and compassion. Maybe love is now a cliche drained of impact, or worse, overused by hypocrites. Maybe our emphasis on reason moves us to look down on these cozy little emotions. And maybe we're embarrassed to show our feelings, or at least to be the first person to do that. Well, whatever's going on, we can say and do small but consistent things that bring love and kindness into our presentation to the world and our being together. To be truly pluralist, we must find and exercise what binds us together in our scintillating diversity. We can be inspired and guided by Reverend Leifert's image of the grout. Maybe love is the water that allows the grout to bind. To the loving water, we add our sticky grit of labor, helpfulness, willingness, friendliness, visible joy, you name it. But it's crucial that we don't just name it, but that we make it. We mix it up and put it in the places where it needs to be. So, yeah, bring your shiny, precious, eccentric pieces, but for those gaps and spaces that inevitably come between us, let's join in mixing and spreading the grout that is love. It'll take all of us to make our neighborhood mosaic.
Now we come to our offertory. This congregation is a living entity that can grow with our care, not just with loving kindness and the spirit of sharing with each other, but our financial contributions that help our building, our staff, and our programs grow. If you have not noticed it, there are manila envelopes on the backs of the chairs. If you would like to fill them out, please do, and put them in the baskets. Or if you don't have time to do that in the baskets, you can bring them to the office after service for the counters. For those that have had predated checks, thank you very much. And thanks also to pre-authorized withdrawals. Those on Zoom, if you can see the link to our offering page on Zoom, please click on it. Any offering is welcome, even the smallest ones. Now I turn it over to the Spirit Band.
We're going to share with you a song from Dr. Larry Nussbaum, who was here in September to speak with us. And we got to sing this with him when he was here with us last year. He did a lot of peace work in the Middle East and was inspired to write this song. Are we ready, band? Yeah.
Yes.
You're welcome to sing with us on the chorus, or if you feel like dancing, that would be all right too.
We've been taught to fear our different ways of being.
Ways of being.
The different ways we look, our ways of seeing.
Our ways of seeing.
It's time we realize, we're so much more the same deep inside, 'cause we're one people, one planet, one people, one planet, one world, one planet, one world. Yeah, we're one people, one planet, one planet, one world. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, na na na. Yeah.
We got different points of view, there is no doubt.
There is no doubt.
Different ways to work the same things out.
The same things out.
But we got one sun, one moon, and one earth below. I got one heart in my chest
That beats the same as yours. Because we're one people,
one people,
one planet,
one planet,
one people, one planet, one world, one planet, one world.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're one people,
One people,
one planet,
one planet,
one people, one planet, one world,
one
different point of view. How about you?
How about you?
How about you?
How about you?
What's it like to be 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 you?
Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
We're like different leaves on the same tree.
Or in the same mosaic.
We're like different kids born into the same big family. And I thank God that we're not all the same. Come on, Link, and you may see beyond your eyes.
You might see.
Oh, yeah, that we're one people,
One people,
one planet,
one planet,
one people, one planet, one world, one planet, one world. Yeah, yeah, we're one people,
one people,
one planet,
one planet,
one people, one planet, one world, one planet, one world. Yeah, 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 yeah. One planet, one planet, one people, one planet, one people, one world. One planet, one world.
one planet, one world,
One planet, one world.
one planet, one world.
One planet, one world. Oh, 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 oh. One planet, one world.
I just love this congregation, just being spiritual and just having such smooth jamming at the same time.
Thanks, Kurt.
If you have found home here, if you have found heart, spirit, and like minds here, let this offering be a generous contribution to our greater glory, greater understanding, and our greater good. Now, please, if you would, rise in spirit and body if you're able for our final song.
For our closing song, we're going to sing folk singer Sally Rogers' Love Will Guide Us, which has made its way into the UU hymnal. And as I was researching this song for today, I noticed that there's a verse that she wrote that didn't make it into our hymnal. And I have included it today for us to sing, and it'll be the first verse on the next slide that starts with "You are like no other being." One, two.
sing like angels. If you cannot speak before thousands, you can give from deep within you. You can change the world with your love. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. Love will guide us. Peace has tried us. Hope inside us will lead the way on the road from greed to giving. Love will guide us through the dark night. Love will guide us through the dark night.
Thanks to all. And love is guiding me to thank everyone, from the texts to the coffee, to our guest minister, Stephan Atkinson, to our spirit band, and to all of you who are here and on Zoom. I now ask Denise Lambert to please come and, sorry, I guess to extinguish our chalice. Sorry for the mispronunciation. In closing, we have a tradition of forming a circle and taking arms or hands. If you do not feel like joining, you can step back and just do a lamari. A namaste that says you respect the spirit within us. Now I ask Stephan Atkinson to please offer a closing blessing.
Thank you. Each time we enter into our community, may we envision the beautiful mosaic created here by our diversity. Each time we bump up against some sticking point in the appreciation of it, may we soften our heart to make a bit more room for the other. And each time we leave here, may we carry the spirit of the mosaic into all our relationships in the world around us. Blessed be. Namaste. Amen.
Our service has ended. Take the Spirit Road in peace to wherever you go this week, and come back again next week. Blessed be. Oh, and just a reminder, for those who wish, we will have the town hall information session at 12:30 about the hiring process for Minister Sally Frishy, and there will be pizza available. If you would, we ask that you could please offer a donation of $5 for the pizza. Thank you.
He says